When you guys have a problem and you kind of find the middle of it, right? Like you find that core and you discover it and start working on it, all the other crap will come crumbling down. It's just how it works. I feel like I have no personality and I'm hollow. I feel afraid of talking to people in reality or online. I feel like I'm too boring for them and have nothing of value to offer. Sometimes I muster up the courage to message people or respond to their messages, but then I end up ghosting them for weeks. Just because I don't want to end up having a conversation with them and them realizing I am boring and then stopping talking to me. I feel like I will end up alone even if I do or don't want to talk to people, because if I do, they will realize I have no substance as a person or that I'm just uninteresting or unfunny. If I don't, then I will just be alone in the end because I never talk to anyone. I do have a few close friends and I talk to them regularly, but they're just too close to realize that I'm like this. They tell me that I'm interesting and funny, but I think only they find me that way. It's like when your mom tells you you're good looking when you know you aren't. I think the people I have been avoiding talking to are really cool and would be really great friends, but I just don't think I am on their level as a person. How do I overcome this fear of rejection? Great question. Okay, so hold on. Chat. Dr. K needs to think for a second. Okay, so first thing that we're going to do, chat, is we're going to map out, I'm going to just show, let me just do this with y'all. So I'm going to map out what this person's mind looks like. I'm going to share with y'all how I understand the mind of this person. And I want to show you guys, if you can relate to this, how to understand your mind, okay? What I'm going to ask y'all to do is go ahead and just open up the Reddit post on a side window, because I'm going to have it here. I'm going to go through line by line, and I'm going to show you guys sort of how this mind works, okay? Okay, so let's start with this. So the first thing to understand is that these are the core beliefs. I am too boring. Sorry, guys, I am actually a medical doctor, which means that my handwriting is terrible. I'm not valuable, right? And so then sometimes what this person actually does is builds up courage and then reaches out. And then over time, they'll end up ghosting. Okay, I don't want to end up having a conversation with them and them realizing. They will realize. Okay, so what this means, they will realize that I'm not valuable. So you're pretending or being an imposter. Okay, so there's a touch of that. Y'all see that? I need to talk to other people or I will be alone. So what I'm sort of noticing here is that there's like a war between these two parts of the mind. You guys see that? So like sometimes like this part wins and then sometimes this part wins. This part usually ends up winning. Okay, so then they will realize my close friends are too close to realize. So that's why this is, I'm going to put like a green arrow here because, okay, so we're going to have our realization oriented stuff this way. I know this is why I wanted to think for a second because I don't know exactly where I'm going with this, but okay, so this is the mom example. Okay. And then I think I have been avoiding talking to are really cool and could be really great friends, but I just don't think I'm on their level as a person. I'm not valuable. So let's look at this mind. So this over here is the samskar. Do you guys see how like everything here that we're talking about revolves around this complex? As long as this is here, the rest of the stuff will actually just, you know, everything here, all of this stuff will continue to persist. So let's look at their current pattern of behavior. So they start here, they build up the courage, okay? They reach out, and then the courage goes away. They lose the courage, and then they end up ghosting. So there's almost like, so really what it is courage versus ghosting, okay? And so this is a balance. And on a given day, they can use willpower to bolster courage, right? They can ignore all of these thoughts And then what's going to happen is courage will be greater than the tendency to ghost and disappear. And then, but the problem is that willpower is not sustainable. So over time, the willpower will decrease, will cross this threshold, and then you'll ghost. And once you ghost, you're going to feel bad. And then as you feel bad, you're going to reinforce this. Y'all with me? Because now you feel guilty. You're like, oh my God, I'm so pathetic. I can't even text people back. Oh my God. And so this thing then gets stronger. It levels up. Y'all see that? This cycle? GG, noobs. Okay? So now now these are rationalizations. They will realize, right? Like, I can only put on a mask for so long. And this doesn't even make any sense rationally. My close friends are too close to realize how pathetic I am? No, dude, it's the opposite, right? The closer someone is to you, the more they get your authentic self. So if your close friends, really logically, if your close friends like you, they're closer to the real you. That's not usually the mask. But if I were to say that to this person, they would argue with me until they were blue in the face. Like, I wouldn't get anywhere. But do y'all see, chat, how these are rationalizations? They're fears. It doesn't make any sense. So this is like when your mind tells you all kinds of stuff like, don't bother. It's a waste of time. No point in trying to hang out if they are going to, you ready for it, chat? Here's the climax. Find out eventually. That's what the mind tells you, right? These are all the rationalizations. These are the responses of your mind. This is what it tells you to protect against rejection. Because what this person is trying to avoid is this cycle, right? If I never reach out in the first place, because every time I reach out, I'm going to end up ghosting, then I'm going to feel bad, and this is going to get worse. So this is what you have to understand. Reaching out just makes you feel bad. And that's why we don't do it. You guys see that? So then the mind says, hey, buddy, the mind is smart. This is a smart person, right? So these thoughts come over here and they're like, hey, wait a minute. This is bad. Every time we reach out, we end up over here and we feel worse about ourselves. So don't bother. Stop doing it. Stop doing it. And then this is the last part. So this is like the warring part, right? We go over here, which is like, I need people. This isn't healthy. So the first thing to understand is that you can tackle any of these. But I'd say that you can tackle the cognitions and defense mechanisms if you want to. You can tackle this cycle if you want to, but I think this is where it starts. And if you can cross this out, everything else is going to come crumbling down. This is going to come crumbling down. This is going to come crumbling down. This is going to come crumbling down. It'll all come crumbling down, okay? So there's one question that I have for you, if this person is watching, or anyone who relates to this, is where did you learn that you're not valuable? Because as long as that belief is held, all this crap is going to persist. Do y'all get that? Like, you guys see how, like, as we draw it out, like, you can argue with the rationalizations. And the problem that people run into with these things is that they'll deal with any one of those things, right? So if you go to someone and you're like, how do I stop ghosting people? And it's like, that is such a weird adaptation of an adaptation of an adaptation. It's so far from the root. Like, you can work on that and it is valuable, right? So what we want to do is we want to approach it from both ends. We want to approach it like in the moment in symptomatic relief and root cause relief. But I would start with this, is where did you learn that all these other people are better than you? Because you can even see it, okay? It's subtle. I mean, actually, it's not subtle. What am I saying? It's bright as day. Could be really great friends, but I just don't think I'm on their level as a person. Why not? When did you stop being on their level as a person? What level are you on? How did you get on that level? Why are they on a different level? Right? And so you can go back to, like, you know, we see the ahamkar. You guys see the sense of self, the identity. The identity is like, I'm a bad person. And then everything that we talked about in terms of like the non-traditional narcissism actually applies here too, right? Because they idealize all of their friends because their ahamkar is active. And so you look up to everyone. Oh my God, everyone's so awesome. Oh my God. So where does that come from? And as you start to dismantle that belief, okay, I saw an interesting post from a week ago. So I'll show you guys what this, so my surprising experience with coaching. So they've been in the self-improvement online world with books and all this for years. So like my first session started out with some overviews and just thinking in the basics of what coaching is. Second session, I was actually planning on cutting things short. I really felt like I had a lot of self-awareness from therapy and self-improvement stuff. I know I have self-value problems. I know I have anxiety about work. When I clicked the call button on Discord to have my second session, I made a mental note to mention to my coach that I was considering ending after the session. I never planned on breaking down about 20 minutes later with emotion. There was such an intense samskar that I always felt there, and had never accessed in the way that I had. My coach was asking me seemingly basic questions and reflecting back to me the things I said. I was so sure initially that I knew more about myself than anyone could, and it was a waste of time to do coaching. I identified the samskar and where it came from, and blah, 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 okay? And so y'all can read the rest of the post. I think I just highlight this to illustrate a couple of things. The first is that this is how a samskar works, okay? Blah, 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 they got better. It's a short answer. And so the key thing, though, is that, like, once you hit it, and it's kind of hard to describe, but, like, once you find it, like, stuff starts crumbling down. Yeah, let me drop the link. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I just realized, I just felt something. I felt like it was arrogant to show something about a success story from, like, our program. So I felt like that was my own ego actually getting in the way. It happened quick. And so I felt embarrassed to share how this person had made progress, which is silly. Yeah, exactly. So Osterholtz is saying coaching, it just works, #ad. That's actually exactly what I was trying to avoid, which is why I didn't read the rest of the post. You guys see that? It's interesting. Like, my ego happened. So I didn't want to share because I didn't want it to come across. I was thinking about what y'all were thinking about. And I was like, oh, I don't want these people to perceive me as a narcissist, so I have to stop reading this success story. Right? So it happens quick. The couple of key points, though, is that when you guys have a problem and you kind of find the middle of it, right? Like you find that core and you discover it and start working on it, all the other crap will come crumbling down. It's just how it works. Now, a couple things to remember. So this sounds like a wonderful ad for coaching, which I actually need to give you guys a big caveat about. This person is like, oh my God, I was not expecting this. This coach was brilliant. I can guarantee you every coach out there who's watching the stream is currently terrified because they're like, I don't know if I can do that. Are people going to be expecting this emotional catharsis after 2 sessions? Like, I can't do that because they can't do that. This is where I want you guys to remember that this person has been doing self-improvement work and therapy and stuff for years. So I think it was right under the surface, right? It was ready to come out. And so I don't think the coach I'm sure the coach was great. Like, they probably did a good job. And at the same time, you have to be careful about your expectations because this person, I think, was like, it's like right underneath the surface. So it'll come out relatively easily. They were ready for it, right? So our coaches do a fantastic job, don't get me wrong. And at the same time, I would be really, really careful about not expecting this. So just show up. Try to do the best that you can. Your coach is going to show up and try to do the best that you can. We have a big policy here at Health. It's not really a policy. It's like a ethos that, we just show up and we do the best that we can on a given day. That's our dharma. Our dharma is to show up. I'm going to show up on stream. I'm going to try to help as many people as I can in 2 hours. And that's what we're going to do. Maybe y'all will like it. Maybe you won't. Am I going to have the answers? I don't really know. We're just going to show up and we're going to give it everything we've got. And that's what I encourage y'all to do as well. Just show up and give it everything you've got.